Hello, this is Toy, and I am going to go ahead and get started. Again, this is a test for Toy Talks, and again, I was going to use this opportunity to try to go through the financial secretary template. If anyone's anyone joins the call, feel free to chime in, ask questions, and we will move forward. All right. So, as I said, we're going to go through the toys templates, one of the first ones that was released. And this one was the financial secretary template. You can see here there is a screenshot, and this screenshot is actually included on the website link as well. And you can find the template on my website at toifortamis.com// templates. If you have your device available, you can actually scan the QR code, and that will take you to the website. And then all you have to do is click on toys templates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to the website. I'm going to bring that over and show that to you. So let me go and pull that up. And then I'm going to pull that over. And I'm going to ask for a little bit of grace, sorors, because I'm actually just kind of doing this on the fly myself. Again, this is test. Hopefully you can see. And I'll tell you what, I don't think you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of the presentation, and then I'm going to go back to the website. So on the Toy for Tamia's website, you can see that over to the right, there is a tab for templates. And the first one that I have provided is the financial secretary template. And so if you click on that, it'll actually download the document for you. And you can see it's an Excel file. And I'm going to open that up. Okay. And so basically, it's an Excel file. I'm going to enable editing. And you can see here, this is set up for any chapter. And so when this template was set up, again, it was set up to be very simple. I know from experience of being a financial secretary in my own chapter that it is a little overwhelming when you become a financial officer. You're doing something that you hadn't done before, and you're not quite sure where to start. So I wanted to pull together something that hopefully I'm thinking like undergraduate chapters, maybe new chapters, maybe an old chapter that just doesn't have a process. This should give you a starting point. So if you look here at the template, you can see here once you log in or once you download it and open the document, you can see here the first thing that you come to is some very simple instructions, right? And you can see here that the instructions are color coded to the tabs that are in the file. And if you have any questions too, the file is set up so that if you click on the email address, it'll actually take it to your email provider, and then it'll be formatted for you to go ahead and send us any questions that you might have on the template. And one thing to note is that it's best to use this in Excel. This was set up in Excel. And so it's best to use it in Microsoft Excel. You can use it in Google Sheets, but it's going to work best in Microsoft Excel. All right. So let's just go here. Basically, the first thing that you're going to want to do in the template, once you initially set it up, is that you're going to want to just set it up for your chapter, right? And set it up for the fiscal or sorority year. for your chapter. And so you can see here, this one is already set up for this fiscal year, so I don't have to change it, but it's easy to change if you get to next year and you're ready to work on the next year. You can see here that it's set up to where it'll go ahead and set it up for your full sorority year, right? So it's set up for July 1, 2026, and it'll go through June 30th, 2027. So I'm just going to undo that, but I wanted you to see that. And then it's set up for the meeting, right, that you are trying to present this to. Typically, I know in my chapter, when I was the Tamias Grammatis, I had to present to the executive board on a monthly basis, and then I'd have to present to the chapter on a monthly basis. So if we were to pretend like, my chapter meeting is on third Saturday, so if I was to, pretend that I was setting this up for my chapter, it would be on the 20th of December. So all I'd have to do is put December the 20th. And you can see here it's changed everything in here to reflect December the 20th. And typically, when you're trying to prepare the report, I know for my chapter, it's set, we ask that people, that officers provide reports days in advance so that the chapter members have an opportunity to review it before we get to this chapter meeting. And so I would change this to maybe be, December the 15th, right? Would be the last date that I pulled this information. And then you have the choice of saying, do I want to, do it for the chapter or for the board meeting? And you'll see, like if I change this to board, then it actually changes on the TAMIS, the report. You'll notice that it says board meeting. But if I wanted to change this so that it's for the chapter meeting, then it'll say chapter meeting. So just to give a little clarity, right? And so then I'm not going to update any of this. Basically, you can see this is set up for any Zeta chapter, right? You can change it to your chapter name, your chapter address, if you have a phone for your chapter, if you have a email address, whether it's the financial team email address or the chapter email address, and then whatever the receipt number that you want to use, and we'll see that later, and then update it to whoever your Tamias Grammatis financial secretary is. Also, over here to the right, you have the ability, if you wanted to update these titles, you could. If you wanted to update your payment methods, you could. You can add some additional payment methods. And then also, you'll see once we get to the membership, the members tab, if you wanted to have some additional statuses to add on there, you could. All right. So the first thing you would want to do as the Tamias Grammatis in your chapter, you can see I've already, started filling this out, but you would just basically if like any Tamias Grammatis, you're collecting funds, right? You might be collecting funds at your chapter meetings. You might be, maybe at your board meetings too, right? Or, I know back in the day, people would stop by your house, it may come to your PO box. What have you. I know in more recent times, most people are submitting things online, right? Like my chapter uses Member Planet, but we also use Zelle, cash check, whatever, right? So basically, you would just go through here and just start inputting the information. So this is set up in basically such a way that, remember, I was showing you how you would do the input, on the input tab, you would update what you wanted your starting receipt number to be. That's what populates this. So it automatically populates all the receipt numbers, and you'll see why this is important. Right. So then you'll go in here and you'll just start updating what, how somebody gave you some receipts, right? So I've already got some already put on here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some new receipts. And before I put in those new receipts, what I want to do is that because this is a monthly report, you'll see here that this report reflects what the last report that was sent to the chapter, right? And so what you would typically do is just basically take the previous month and what was reported to the chapter and basically paste that over to the previous balance. And so you'll see right now, there's nothing showing up in this in this column, which is the credits to show what the change was for the month. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in some receipts, right? And I'm just going to say that, Asora gave me cash. We're just going to say she gave me cash today, right? She wanted to pay her dues. She's a graduate member. I can describe it and say this is dues for well-informed Zeta. And because these dues, the well-informed Zeta, she's late in paying her dues, right? And this was submitted by well-informed Zeta, and it was received by me, the financial secretary. Okay. And so we just do that one, right? You can see a lot of these things are set up in ways where they're drop down boxes. So this is linked to that input tab, right? Remember, I was telling you those payment methods. You would input the date, the local dues. That's set up as that's actually set up based upon what's on your Tamias Grammatius report, right? And then on the membership level, that comes from, let me see, I think that one, I have to recall Soros. Actually, that's linked to the Tamias Grammatius report. I'm sorry. And this is just a description. This is an input. This is an input, and that's an input. Okay. And so then once you do that, then essentially now that you've taken that Soros dues, then you're actually able to basically do a receipt for this soror, which is nice, right? So instead of having a paper receipt, you can say, okay, soror well-informed Zeta, she has a receipt 1019. I can go in here on this drop-down box and click on 1019. And you can see there that basically I now have a receipt for well-informed Zeta, right? So all the information that you've input into this, into that input tab is now populated this receipt, and you could basically take a screenshot or print this to PDF and send this to the soror, okay? And then also the next thing is now that you've put in your information, remember you just did the one, you put in the information, and so now your report is automatically updated to show the new collections, right? So now it's showing what you've collected since the last meeting, which is $175. Your balance to date that you've collected as financial secretary of the chapter is 1920. And interesting, it came up with 1920, right? And then the last part about it is that you can now come over to this membership tab, right? And you can actually come in here and add this sort, right? So we said this was well-informed Zeta. I'm going to say she's a graduate. Oops, let me do that. We're going to say that she's a graduate. And I'm just going to keep all of this information the same just for the sake of time. And we're going to say that she's paid in full. Again, this is basically drop down. And then if you know there's Zeta ID, I've always recommended just kind of keeping track of that. And then if you wanted to update your initiation date or initiation chapter, that's fine. So then once you do that, that also updates this down in here, right? So basically now that we have an additional graduate member, you're able to actually go in here. And if I basically updated it by graduate, you'll see, let's see, graduate paid in full. It says 47 graduate members paid in full, including the well-informed Zeta, and that's automatically summarized on your report. right? And so this is something that you could easily PDF this. And for my chapter, we do a Google Drive. You can easily PDF this and save this to your chapter's Google Drive or print it to distribute by paper to your chapter. But essentially, this gives you a good summary to give to your chapter as a financial secretary. And then you can see here it automatically says who submitted it as well. So I think that's it. Like I said, it's not complicated, and just wanted to just take the time, take this opportunity while I was doing this test to just try to show that to y'all, and just see if anybody had any questions. And I'm happy to answer them. And if not, if not right now, then definitely just pop in the chat and just ask me any questions. And I'm happy to talk via chat, or if I need to get on the phone and talk to you too, that'll be great. So I'm gonna just check and make sure I don't see anything before I sign off. But I appreciate everybody's time, and I look forward to having another toy talk with you. Just make sure I don't see anything, y'all. Okay, I see several of y'all making just comments, and I appreciate that. So I don't see any questions. I see several of y'all making just comments, and I see it's technology, y'all. I see several of y'all making comments, so that's great. So I'm gonna sign off. And again, if y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, and I would appreciate feedback, that would be great as well. So, and I appreciate you saying it's great, and I appreciate you telling me if it needs some work. So because I want this to be something that will be useful to the sisterhood. So, anyway, that's all I have for you for tonight. Y'all have a wonderful evening.